Today we have with us someone listening to whom made me stop reading books on parenting and definitely on Western style of parenting and made me sit back and observe my own child. He's an engineer from NIT Bhopal and a designer from NID Ahmedabad. Post that, he ran a school on the condition that there'll be no classes and it will be based on the inherent needs of children. And he's also spent a lot of time consciously living with illiterate people. Currently, he's adjunct faculty with IIT Bombay. And he also runs a foundation called Existential Knowledge Foundation, EKF. He just now wrote a beautiful book called Seeing with Hands. Just been out, it's been published. And despite all that he has done, all his degrees, all his writing books, he calls himself a victim of education. His name is Jinan. Jinan sir, we are very happy to have you here. And, I would love to know more about this line. This line was very interesting to me. You call yourself, you are an engineer, a designer, you teach at IIT Bombay, and you call yourself a victim of education.
No, first of all, I don't call myself an engineer. I say I have a degree in engineering.
You have a degree in engineering.
I think it is, real engineers will get angry with me if I say I'm an engineer.
Okay.
I mean, this is the case with most people who take engineering. We know theoretically many things, meaning in terms of language, but in terms of action, most of us are zero. That's a whole problem with education. I call myself a victim of education mainly because I realized that this whole modern education is nothing but a form of subjugation by the Western world. This is what it is.
Okay.
Because whatever we study, it is all based on the way the West perceives the world, the way Western system has constructed knowledge, and that is being distributed all over the world. Because, even till date, that hardly any universities ever create knowledge as per their cultural, format. So basically what is happening is that even though Britishers left here, physically left, they completely colonized it through education. So I think, and the more and more I went and explored and started living with rural tribal people and understood the real nature of learning, I understood that education could be the biggest hoax of modern civilization. And I can tell you the whole destruction that we are doing to our own land, the earth, and our own self is nothing but because we are educated. Because education completely alienates you from real life. It denies your own biological inherent capacity to understand the world autonomously. See, the senses are given by life to understand the world. Where do we use it? And you see, it's like this, that all biological beings are cognitive beings. All biological beings. A plant is learning, a dog is learning, a worm is learning. Similarly, a human is learning. But the whole modern educated people don't learn at all. Learning has nothing to do with reading. This is what people have been made to understand. If you read, that is learning. No. Learning actually means creation of knowledge. And creation of knowledge is what every living being is doing, because survival depends on you creating knowledge. And this knowledge is not your ego creating. Your being is creating. It's a choiceless activity. All living beings are learning in a choiceless manner. So what education has done is to completely distort the whole process and create a completely false idea about education, and you have created believers of knowledge. You see, I keep saying that educated people are far more superstitious than illiterate people, because education is nothing but a total belief system of science. That's what it is.
But I'm saying, isn't it the opposite? For example, I would say that if you go to the village, people will say, "Arey, kali billi ne rasta kaat liya hai."
We are only looking at surface thing. Actual living, for example, it's not superstition. Let's take for simple example of parenting. Why are the modern parents doesn't know how to parent? Do you think there is a parenting workshop in indigenous communities, illiterate people? Never.
Obviously not, never.
That is because they are basing their knowledge on life itself. It's not based on ideas that experts tell you. So that's the difference. Living is knowing. But for modern educated peoples, living and knowing has become separate. Their knowledge, they go to some place, they read, and somebody will give you, and you believe it. If you answer it, you are certified as good person, educated person. If you don't certify, if it's not certified, then you are drop out. And the whole process has been destroyed by that. So just by looking at the parenting itself, we can show that how knowledge has completely gone away from educated people. And also you see this, the higher the educated, the less knowledge of life. I'm talking about parenting. Look at the confusion that is there in the West about simple thing like breastfeeding, or whether the child should sleep with you or without you. I mean, these are absurd questions they are fooling around with. This shows that we are alienated from life. And for any species to survive, the most important knowledge is how to look after your child. And this is what every species knows except the educated.
You think a question like whether the child should sleep with me or not sleep with me
should not even arise.
Should not even arise.
Absolutely. That is because of alienation that such questions come.
You're saying it is arising because we are uneducated.
Yes, we are.
And thinking we are educated, that we are thinking about these things.
Absolutely. This thought shouldn't arise at all. See, these are all life things, You see, simply, just imagine, how did we learn our mother tongue? Did we make any effort at all?
No, automatically.
That is because at that point of time, life was learning, not you. The moment you shift into education, you are established as an egoistic being, and now you begin to learn. That is when you destroy it.
So isn't ego natural in the sense of
No.
So are you saying in illiterate people,
no,
me is less, I is less?
Yes. You see, the thing is that we are dualistic in the sense that this me and the other, the collective and the self coexist. Understand? So this coexistence of the ego and non-ego is what illiterate people have. What happens to education is that the other is completely taken away, and a false ego is created, not even the real ego. Because it is not, see, the you that is constructed for an educated is only through language. Because you read and you do reasoning, and there are certain conscious activities that you get into. You see, the other another thing with the illiterate communities is that he depends on the knowledge of life which is there in his body. Understand?
So what does that mean?
It means
knowledge of life that is in my body.
What I'll tell you, simple thing. That, this knowledge of how to look after a child, simple. I'm taking you that example only. Or the food, for example. When to stop eating. You see, why is it that in illiterate communities, you don't find obese people much? And why is that only in educated you find them more?
I thought this was because in illiterate, or because they are living outdoors, they have more
that's not the
effort
reason.
to burn calories.
That's not the reason.
No.
Modern people are eating as per rules, externally fed rules. There are many reasons. One reason is that now you are eating vitamins and what you call that, carbohydrate and all that. You don't eat food. You are eating mental ideas of knowledge. And then you are feeding children like that. And the other reason for obesity, I think, is that you don't respect the intelligence of the body to function, because right from childhood, you begin to force feed the child. The child, initially, you see, right in the beginning, children always say, no, I don't want, meaning through their gestures. You start
I don't want to eat more. Yeah. They deny food.
They deny food. Like, khana kha raha hai, wo phukega.
But the mothers are worried.
Yeah, that's the problem. So the child, which is intelligent, life-wise intelligent, knows when to stop eating, but not the parents. I won't just say mothers, the parents.
Absolutely.
They don't know. Because I remember once, in a airport, I saw this father and mother feeding their child, and the father had two mobile phones.
Not even one.
And the child is totally distracted. And the mother has this other mechanism through, like a funnel, through which the food is being, given to the child. So the child is looking at the, this Baba Balakship or whatever nonsense that the mobile is showing. And by the time this is over, the father is ready with the next one, because this is one-hand operation. No? He's ready with the next one, and that is placed. And then I couldn't believe this. that the child has absolutely no way of involved in anything. So this is what is happening in modernity, that you are fragmenting the body and mind. That's what is happening. You see, this is a good example of how the body and mind gets fragmented. All the attention of the child is being given to watch what is happening. Right? That is the mind taking part in this. Whereas the body is involved in eating. Now, because the mind is totally involved here, the mind is not giving attention to the body's needs of stopping the food.
So are you saying
Yes.
that education, the
Yes.
way we describe it, where you go to a school to study
Yeah.
and you sit down and you look at something,
Yeah.
is leading to separation of this mind and body?
Absolutely.
Is that the problem?
Absolutely.
Is that the core problem?
That is the core problem. The core problem is fragmentation of the body and mind. You see, I'll give you one best example. For the modern educated people, their beingness is they are physically present, mentally absent all the time. Am I right?
Yes.
Why is it so?
Yes.
But that is not the case with children. They are totally present. Their body and mind is present. You will never see them absent.
Till the time you show them mobile.
Absolutely. No, there are many such processes, not just mobile, you know. You see, when the body and mind are functioning together, that child is safe as long as possible. But when you separate the body and mind, processes that leads to separation of the body and mind, then the problem arises.
But what problem are we talking about? In the sense of most people want their children to go to school.
Yeah, that is all completely a modern concept.
Get educated.
Yeah. To become slaves somewhere.
Get a job.
Yeah, educated.
Earn money.
Earn money.
Earn money. Get a car.
Yeah.
Have a house.
Yeah.
Get married. Have more kids.
Yeah.
Send those kids to school.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now, this is what most...
This is a very recent phenomenon. Huh?
Is it recent?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What I'm telling is that if you look at the human journey, when did the education start?
Around industrialization, when factories started.
That too, you see, the preoccupation with education was with a very few population when it actually started in the West. See, actually, printing press is the beginning of this modern style of education. You know? So the books now could be, you can carry the knowledge on your, this thing, kitab, write in the book, and you can carry it. Otherwise, knowledge is something that you live, not something that you carry separately. Then you can distribute it. You see?
So then, but didn't this getting educated lead to people having more knowledge and hence having more jobs?
No, this knowledge is what I'm asking. What knowledge are we talking about? Do we actually have life-sustaining knowledge? What would life want us to know? Let's question like that. We are part of life, right? Every living being is learning to sustain life, right?
But people are living to, earn money, buy something, have a good...
Buy something. By what?
Like essentially when you get old or as
No,
you...
let's talk about what do you want in life? Food do you want?
Absolutely.
Right? Tell me, do 99% of the educated wouldn't know how to farm? What is the right food that they should be eating? Right? They will have to depend on a book or some expert. Right? These are life-sustaining things which everybody used to know before they got educated.
Oh, I am with you, right? Yeah. Even till a few years ago, 70-80% of our population in India was in agriculture.
Yeah.
Right? Now, farmers barely are able to survive.
Yeah.
And more people are moving to cities. Yeah. Mechanization is happening, etc., etc.
Yeah.
All of this is seen as a sign of progress.
Yeah, that is the whole politics of it. Because this is what I'm telling. The people, you see, I keep telling this thing, that if you want to fool people, convince them they're intelligent. That's the best way. Like if you take America, for example, I always say this. If you want to control people, actually convince them through language they are free. Because people say that's a land of freedom. But the pathetic lives that they lead is, I'm talking about childhood. The childhood in America is having the most pathetic times.
Why will you call it that?
That is because child is completely conditioned right from the beginning.
What does that mean?
The child gets at least minimum 10 injections by the time they're out.
Okay.
It begins with that. Completely sanitized life. They hardly see any life happening around them at all. Right from the beginning, right from start, there is a control by the father and mother, what to do, what not to do, everything. And they are created. So this false ego is created right there. You see, in indigenous communities, possessiveness, selfishness, all that is very, very less, because the conditions for making you possessive and selfish doesn't exist. That's simply the reason. Whereas this is mine and this is yours is the first thing that an American child will learn, a Western child will learn. Because this is my room, this is my space.
And you think that is not okay?
Not at all.
So
this is what is happening.
Having a room for myself, for my child, one for the other child, that is not okay.
Absolutely no. You are creating selfish people. You see, what is wrong with modernity today? It is selfishness, lack of love, possessiveness, aggression, greed, competition. Every negative thing exists in modernity. This is not the human nature. This is what West for some time started telling, that human nature is violent.
But there were...
Absolutely no.
There were kings earlier, there used to be wars.
No, see, don't mix these kings. I'm talking about normal, common people. You go to any village and tell me that what you experience there. Understand? And the problem is that you are continuously speaking from knowledge of books that you have read. You're not experiencing something and talking about it. This is the problem. You see, I spent many years, I also had this idea we are all great creative people. Till I went to the rural tribal people, I understood, no, this is a completely false idea. And let me tell you one most simple thing, which I understood when I lived with them. Literates learn the word, illiterates learn the world. Literates learn the word.
Literates learn the word.
Word. Illiterates learn the world.
Illiterates learn the world.
Yeah. Understand? Huh? That is the fundamental difference. And then what happens is that, because of that, what happens is that whatever you learn makes your beingness. This whole cognitive science is about how cognitive system gets developed. So whatever you experience in childhood is what you will become. Understand? And the whole cognitive networking that happens, neural network that happens, begins right from childhood.
Absolutely.
So the experience of childhood is the most important thing. And it's like this, you keep piling up things, this network is happening right from the time you're out, and at the age of 20, already so much has happened, because every day, every interaction, this is happening. So there is a lot of entanglement that has already taken place. So there isn't much you can do. You can do a little bit, but not much of all this many, many years of conditioning.
This is the reason, one of the reasons. I used to run a company called Cooperative.
Yeah.
The name comes from the first two letters of three words connecting colleges, companies. We used to work with like 1 million graduates across India.
Yeah.
One reason I sold the company was I said, graduates are like an arrow shot from a bow.
Yeah.
They have taken a way they will go to, and they are so hard to change.
Absolutely.
Somebody who hasn't learned till the age of 22, asking them to sit and learn or find a way for them to learn is just so difficult.
Yeah.
And the more I researched, I found that, like you were saying, early childhood is what seems to matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so my interest also is that childhood is the most important thing. And unfortunately, today, people are only interested in higher education. By higher education, you're already finished.
But let me ask you another question. You said literates learn the word. Illiterates learn the world.
Yeah.
But, okay, I'm just again going to a parent's perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I want my child to be able to earn money to have a good life.
Yeah, but what is the good life we are talking about now? Let's now again compare the life of an illiterate person in a rural tribal area and so-called having a good life person. And also the idea of progress itself. Let's just look at that. Look at the kind of food that we are eating today. It is all poisonous, correct?
Because of pesticides.
Everything poisonous. The water we drink is all poison. And the future is going to be chemical food. It's not
synthetically manufactured
food. Is that progress? The question is that.
But I'm saying
there is a time when people were happy. They were eating good food because they were making it. Simple food, healthy food. All that is now forgotten.
So I am with you, and I actually believe what you are saying.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I want to talk to you from the perspective of a parent living in India,
No,
right, or anywhere in the world. So I want to ask you again,
Yeah,
and let me go back to what you said. The kings earlier.
yeah,
The comfort that a modern parent today has
yeah.
is comparable to the comfort that a king had.
You see, again and
Comfort
again,
means
you see,
comfortable.
you are again, you see, what has happened is that the needs of the body has been now taken over by needs of the mind. Mind is now controlling what kind of comfort that you are talking about. You see, simple example. Today, go to any home, you will find sofa and you will find children sitting like this.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. Do you think that is good for the body?
I don't think so. I
It
think
is good
it
for the
is
mind.
bad for the spine.
Yeah. So this is the problem is that we are now completely taken over by the mind, and mind is dictating what is good life. It is not good for the body. Everything that we are doing is bad for the body, good, but the mind is telling you that that's good for you.
It's
You know,
also
so the
like watching
laziness-
television or mobile, right?
Or you look at the laziness index in modern India and rural India. Aren't we bodily feeling always lazy? The educated people, they don't want to do anything. All physical work is difficult for them. All physical work, simple things that people could do with very ease because they are used to it. So see, this is all a question of how is the body and mind are getting used to something.
Is it not only about body not being used?
Pardon?
Is it not only about body not being used that people are, just comfortable? For example,
Yeah.
one beautiful example that I read once, and I call it the slide of convenience,
Yeah.
which is that a person said, I used to climb a hill in front of my house.
Yeah.
I would climb it every day. I will get up there on the hill and there'll be like this
Yeah.
wind coming and I will feel so nice.
Yeah.
Then they put a trolley on the hill.
Yeah.
Now I sit in a trolley. I go up the hill. And I don't feel the same wind anymore.
Yeah.
And he says our life has become a series of trolley rides.
Absolutely.
Right? That's what you are.
No, I'm also telling. I'm telling one more thing. I'll tell you. Initially, in all indigenous communities, process is more important. Modernity, product is important.
The outcome is
important. See, the process meaning something happening to you. For example, when a potter or any artisan is doing something, of course he is making beautiful things, but something is happening to him also. He is also becoming a refined person by the whole process. Every activity. A person who is in the kitchen, who is doing fantastic work, sensorially, every way some transformation is happening in that person. But today, that this is not important. The product is important. The process is completely taken over by the final product. Understand? Na? So even in case of art, you see, now all the digital things have come. They're producing it there. But the whole process that actually you think of any Zen, painting or calligraphy that once, the action was important. The whole act was important, not what you do. That was the case with every activity.
The journey is more important than the outcome.
Absolutely.
Right? Because all of us actually are living a life. We'll finally be dead. That is the outcome.
No.
Living every day. In some way, living every moment is what is important. Right?
And also, there is another thing. What happens in modernity is that, see, boredom you take, for example, boredom. Boredom is something that
every child is bored nowadays.
That is precisely because of this is what happens in education. You see, why is that rural tribal people are not bored?
Are they not bored?
They are not bored at all.
You're saying this because of the experience of having lived with them.
Yes, I'll tell you what is boredom. What is boredom? Boredom is when you fight against time. When you really enjoy doing something, do you feel bored?
Never.
Yeah. So when do you start beginning of boredom? Beginning of boredom is school. You imagine, you just think about your school days. Look at Friday evening, Friday morning. That went off very fast because, Saturday, Sunday is coming. Imagine the Sunday evening, Monday morning. Time is slow. And it is time that is slow. Monday morning, my God, now one more week, 5 days. Then slowly by Friday, then that 3 days goes away fast. Am I right? Boredom is a result of this conflict that we have with time,
of not
or the awareness of time, we are fighting. We have to now time काटना है, we say, no? Yeah. Otherwise, no. So when the conflict begins to happen, see, I always feel that children are living in timelessness. In some sense, this is what I feel about indigenous people also. My wife doesn't know her name for age. So I used to feel quite, like all of us, no? Illiterate, doesn't know the time. Later, one day it stuck to me that actually people who do not know their age, they are living in timelessness. We are counting days.
No, I remember, like, I will ask my Dadi, when were you born? I don't know. Like, more
Yeah.
than 1st January.
No, what I'm also telling is that because of that, what happens to their beingness is what I'm telling. They are living in timelessness. We are now counting. This is another fundamental difference between illiterate people and modern people. Modern people are living in a quantified world, whereas indigenous communities are in qualified. Quality is the thing, not quantity. So there is an interesting discussion that is happening in one of my WhatsApp groups about cooking. Why is that because these are parents from the West. Why is that they are not able to cook the way some other, for example, Mexican and other kind of, like in our own houses, no? How our parents all are cooking. We don't measure each thing. Salt, how much, quantity salt, how much, masalas. This is all sensorial. And with experience, like from smell, from color, all that you understand how this is correct. Whereas the modern people have to actually quantify everything. So for them, writing a recipe is very easy. Or this much grace, this much this. But if you ask an indigenous person to tell how do they do it, they won't be able to tell you because there's no quantity in that sense. So I say this body-centric mathematics, sensory mathematics. You're sensing it. This is quantifying only, but without having a numerals. Understand? So these are again things. One is focusing on quality, other one is on quantity. So these are fundamental difference of a modern literate educated person and an illiterate sense cognate person. People who use senses to understand the world. They are sense cognites. We are mind cognites because mind, through books, through reading, we are trying to understand the world. And we are making a mess of it because we are only imagining things. Understand?
And you're saying if you use your senses, then is it correlated to living in timelessness?
Absolutely. And your senses meaning,
because you're present?
Absolutely. See, this whole drama about meditation of modern minds is because they are absent all the time. No? Why are the indigenous communities do not need meditation? That's because they are present all the time. Presence is the body and mind are functioning together. That is present. When you're looking at something, or you are aware of it, you're present. Now what is happening? You're looking at something, but you're thinking about it. You're not seeing. So the issue is this, that senses are used by them as a mental tool for educated people.
But isn't that always a to and fro? For example, if there is an animal you see walking, and as a child, let's say I see an animal walking, 4 legs, tail, nicely walking, whiskers. I notice everything. Right? Suddenly somebody tells me, oh, this is a cat. And I stop noticing because now this is a cat.
No. See, in the indigenous, for children, there is no stop noticing.
Okay.
Of course, if you keep on doing, they will stop noticing. Actually, children have a fantastic way of, that's what I know. My whole focus is on understanding how children create knowledge. Because this is something that there is no study at all. You see, if you look at the cognitive science, modern cognitive science came about in order to make machines intelligent. Correct? That's all. If you look at the history of cognitive science, the purpose was to make an ordinary machine which didn't think much like us intelligent.
Okay.
And all their research after years of researching on all kinds of things, they have finally come to the conclusion they have to study children because now they want machines that can learn like children.
Absolutely.
But this is not acknowledged within our educational paradigm. Because the moment you accept this truth, then schools will be dead. But then you don't need schools. You understand? So my whole study, my whole research is on what is the structure of how actually children learn. And I have decodified it, clearly able to understand it. Simple thing like this, that when we learned our mother tongue, we all learned without any confusion.
Without any confusion.
Which also means that inherently we also imbibed the grammar. Inherently, implicitly. Somebody asks you which is, noun, grammar, verb and all that, we won't be able to tell. I'm talking about children. But they are able to talk properly, which means implicit knowledge of grammar exists. Which also means that there is a template through which we are learning grammar. An invisible template. Correct, no? So an invisible template existed for us to understand grammar, language. Correct?
Sure.
Exactly like this, there is an invisible structure that enables one to understand the real world. And that is what I've now found out. Because almost 30 years of documenting children, observing, doing what, clearly looking at what they do, I know that there is a clear structure that exists.
So what is that structure?
That structure is very simple. So what I was trying to say was that when a child is looking at a cat, a dog and all that, there is a fantastic system at work which is observing, comparing, seeing similarity and categorizing everything as per, there is a template that is given through which they are doing it. Understand? That is one. There is also other structure. Simple thing that you take any object. Any object has a form. Form meaning how it looks like. Right? There is a function. It is made of materials. And there is a process of making it. Correct? So this forms the basic structure of learning. Form, function, process, materials. Then of course it achieves structural stability. And it is in the context of our lives. Correct now? So if you actually look at any spontaneous activity a child is doing, people misunderstand and call it play. It's a completely misunderstood idea, whole idea of play.
The children play or children don't play?
Children are playful, they turn everything into play. So this is different from how the West is defining play.
That there is a time to play and time to
absolutely. And there's an object to play with, which is called toys. Children neither need toys nor need your permission to play because they are playful. And any object can become toy. You understand? Any object, this object can become their child also. They will hold it like this and say, "Oh, my child." This can become something else, anything. Understand? Na? So playfulness and exploration, through playfulness, through exploration, is the process by which children understand things. But how they organize it is through using this template of form, function, process, structure, and materials. And I have a very, very, deep study on this. And, another example I want to ask you. In childhood, do you remember when you got a notebook, do you remember keeping the book like this? Yeah. What did you call it?
House.
So what is it? This is the formal connection. And I've seen that 95% of the people with whom I have asked this question, they've all said the same thing. That when they got the notebook, they kept it like this. And they played many, many games with this. They keep like this, construct houses. Why are we doing this? Understand? So this is one is the exploration of form. Other one is exploration of process. How you do. And once it reaches structural stability, you do that. And the other thing I want to ask you is that, do you remember keeping bedsheet over a table and playing house? Correct?
So, making your own house by...
Absolutely. So there your focus is on creating the space, the function of the house. House, in terms of function, is a space, contained space. Am I right? So your play keeps changing. One is that you're exploring form, how it looks. Second is the function of it. You put a bedsheet over a table and that's your house. And then you become all kinds of things you do. Shadi bhi, marriage hota hai. You make kitchen, cooking, different activities you do within that. Right? And the third thing you do is that whatever material you get, table, chair, pillow, with that you focus is to make a house. Correct? Am I right? You've done this?
Yeah,
all children do this.
Absolutely.
So, which means that there is an inherent tendency in the child to explore the world that it sees and recreate it in different ways. So, various aspects of a singular object, singular thing is being explored. House, the form, function, process. In that activity, they understand materials, they understand structure. And of course, it is contextual. This is what learning is all about. It's the same thing that happens when they begin to organize animals, birds, fruits, vegetables. Everything is getting organized exactly in the same way. And the modern misunderstanding is that knowledge creation is taking place through language. No. Knowledge creation is taking through senses. You eat a mango, it gives a certain taste, you remember. And when you got the mango, of course, you saw the size, the color, the smell, Second time you got another type of mango. Of course, the shape is slightly different. Color is slightly different. Some are reddish, some are yellow, some are even just retain the green. Yet it is, ripe. Understand? Na? So each time the child is eating mango, various types of mango, various stages of mango, the child is already constructing a knowledge of that through senses, not through language. Because you can call mango, aam, can, kook, keen, you call any damn thing. The taste doesn't change. Understand? Na? So it's actually the senses that is making sense of the world, not language. The whole modernity is misunderstanding. It is in language that knowledge knowledge
So parents today are using flashcards to teach children. What do you think about that?
Any kind of teaching is anti-life.
Any kind of
Teaching is anti-life.
Okay.
Any kind of method is anti-child. Montessori method is wrong. Waldorf method is wrong. Any method. I'm not pinpointing one method. No method, because life is a method. Every child has a method. And it is not different from different. It's like this. Our digestion process, is it so different for each of us?
The same.
Same. People also have this foolish idea that there are different ways of learning. There are no different ways of learning. It's like people telling there are different ways of digesting food. Because see, these are all essentially biological processes. You see, cognitive system and digestive system are very same in one sense. Correct, no? Input from outside and it goes inside and then it organizes. Again, you take mother tongue, for example. Was it given to you in an organized way? No. It was not taught to you. They did not teach you grammar. They did not tell you the meaning of words. Everything got organized within us because we didn't make any effort also. Ego didn't come in. Yet we are already able to speak very well. And in Bangalore slums, there are children speak 4 languages. You understand? Why are we not trusting children to do this? Is what I don't understand.
So what would you recommend? There should be no schools?
Absolutely no.
So what should children do?
Children, not
Because
children.
parents are going to work.
No, that, see, the thing is that I am now telling a 1,000-year-old plan because we have destroyed any possibility of revival. Because you see, an adult actually should do activities that are life-sustaining. He should not become some clerk somewhere or peon somewhere, security somewhere. You should actually be farming or doing something that are meaningful. You see, in 91, when I went to Orissa, into a small village, it was a fantastic self-contained village. I was living with the potters community. Next to, and there were 7-8 potter families. They were supplying to the whole village. They were able to take care. There were weavers, 2-3 weavers, farming community. There was a bamboo artisan group. There were shepherds. Understand? So that community, that was like a self-contained community. There was one blacksmith. And there was no brass-smiths. But see, depending upon the demand, these people were distributed all over India.
Isn't this a way to look at it this way, that earlier there were smaller units which were self-contained, self-sufficient. We call it a village. We call it a tribe
One, diversity.
with diversity.
Diversity and non-hierarchical. You must look at this whole chain that modernity is bringing in. Modernity is thorough hierarchical. It's absurd to say there is democracy in this modernity. This is all absolute nonsense. You see, democracy exists only in rural, tribal, indigenous communities. In a tribal society, there is democracy. Because the first need for democracy to happen is non-hierarchical situation right from childhood. And the first thing that you kill is by taking away your cognitive right. Cognitive right is the right to know. And that is given by life. The senses are given to you to understand the world. That has been completely smashed, taken away, and replaced with somebody who is going to give you knowledge. That itself is hierarchical. You're made to depend on an expert who wrote the book some 100 years ago. That is what we are still doing now. Or 20 years ago.
So what you're saying is, I am a parent.
I am not against knowledge. I am against false knowledge. Modernity talks about false knowledge. There is no true knowledge here.
So I am saying that I am a parent.
Yeah.
I have a child.
Yeah.
And should I wish, what you're saying is that I wish today, let's say, that my child should go to Harvard. Okay?
Yeah.
What you're saying is that is not the right way.
Absolutely no.
Right?
Absolutely no. You see, what is culture? Sorry, you want to...
No, I'm just saying that, so going and becoming a farmer or a potter or an artisan, is that what you're recommending?
Absolutely. Because that is what... See, life, if life has to sustain, if there has to be sanity in life, we need to move away from this psychologically damaging system that we created today. Because modernity, there are a lot of health issues, psychological health issues. Every distortion that is happening in society today is all because of the way modernity is organized itself. Every problem. I can, right? Let's go back to children. What I say is that children are born in truth. Not they say, I'm not using the word they say truth. They are born in truth. They are beyond truth and lies. Understand? But they don't know there is something called truth itself. Because what they are is what they are. What they experience is what they experience. Then we begin to create a confusion called this is truth and this is lies. Understand? That's one. Secondly, when the children are born, they are non-gender. Understand? So for about 8, 9, 10 years, both male and female children
Play together,
play the same games. Understand? So it's only towards puberty that, at that age, that slowly the play, separates. And of course, today what is happening, again, this is the trick of modernity, to keep on telling people that whatever men are doing is better than what women are doing. And we have created in modernity a certain kind of situation for female to become what men are doing. See, fundamentally, modernity is masculine. Modernity doesn't have feminine quality at all. That's because we are only using the mind. So even what I say is that even feminism is a masculine response. It's a quality. I'm not talking about man doing it. Understand? So looking at whole issue of gender today, it all stems from complete misunderstanding about what children do in a normal community. Understand? A child will reenact every activity. A girl will behave like a boy sometimes, meaning father. Shadi, something is happening. But they are doing it very innocently.
They're just understanding the world.
Absolutely. So for a child, there is no gender.
So what is the child's
need? The gender is created by modernity. When right from the childhood you say, this girl child should have this color, boys should have this color. This toy for girls, and this, all kinds of confusions are created because I'm calling it gendering the child. You first create, you are creating all the problems for modernity. The divisions of the mind, all this is created, and then now you want to solve it later. what modernity is doing is that every time it creates a problem, and then it's as if they have discovered a solution, they will say, now we have solved it. There was no problem at all, actually. You know, like for example, you have this word called out of the box thinking. They are celebrating it. But who put you in the box? So the default situation everybody thinks is that we are all in the box. It is modernity who put you in the box, man. That is to be understood. You understand? Because I find everybody selecting
And in
like
some
it's an
ways
out of the box idea. You know,
So, in some ways, school is a box.
absolutely. Knowledge is
send
a
our
box.
children.
Knowledge is a
Knowledge
box.
in a box.
Knowledge is a box.
Knowledge is a box.
School is a box. Playground is a box. There are different
What you're
categories.
saying is when we say, oh, here's the playground, children should go and play there, we have boxed it. Because
And
children
this
are
is
playing everywhere.
Yeah, this is a toy, you play with it. You know,
That is the box.
everything is a box.
Because we're trying to segregate things like this. And life doesn't behave in this
Absolutely.
manner. Life
Yeah.
is happening all the
Yeah.
time together.
Absolutely.
No segregation of work and play.
Yeah.
And anything. at all.
Not only that, children somewhere else, adults somewhere else. Because now we have created by default a place for male. You know, it's a modernity space for male, adult male. Take. Now, as afterthoughts, you want to have, now let's include women there, let us include children there. So this is inclusion is because you have already excluded.
Starting with the wrong concept, then trying to improve.
Absolutely.
So in some ways, and this is my understanding, that till 300-400 years ago, before industrial revolution.
Not even now in villages, even still you might find this. So it's not that 100 years ago.
But at scale, at least in cities now,
Yeah.
in the morning,
Yeah.
the parents have to go to work. So they have to leave the child somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So they leave him in a school or a crèche or a play school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A few hundred years ago, this didn't used to happen.
Not few hundred, yeah. 20 years ago. Itna 100 ki baat kar rahe hain.
So, and the child grew up in the company of adults.
More adults.
More adults.
Yeah.
Now there are 20-30 kids in a room and 1-2 adults.
Ah.
And you think that is not okay?
No, not at all. You see, in the initial phase, let me tell you a few more aspects. Number one, I keep feeling that it is injustice to the child if you have only one child.
Why do you say that?
we
Injustice
must-
to the child if you have one
should be-
child.
There should be more 2-3 children in one house. You know, minimum 3 children is what I feel. Because children need more children. They are playing with adults because there is nobody to play with.
Boring adults.
Boring adults. Because adults should not play with children because, especially modern adults. Modern adults and child are two different beings altogether. Modern adult is true, calculating, reasoning, egoistic. That is not where the child is. Child is in a completely innocent space. And children also have a very intuitive way of knowing each other. You know, my brother's son, he did not go to school for many years. For 12 years, he did not go. So one day he was telling me one very, very interesting thing. That when children come together, we function as one mind. And he gave an example. That in the farm, he was living in a farm. There's a small pond. And there's a tamarind tree next to that. And about 6, 7, 10 children are on this. On the tree. And they are telling that now this is a sea. And they are in a ship. They are sailing now. And all of them, there's no problem. Everybody is onto that. Then somebody is saying, look, there is an island there. And everybody is seeing the island. So they are functioning as if it's all one mind. And this I have seen it in the school that I ran also. You know, almost 10, 12 children come together, do something. And you don't find anybody leading, yet everything is happening very beautifully. You know, what that actually means is that that there is some intuitive way of knowing what is happening. They're all functioning together. Now, this is, you know, because the modern people say that there is something called swarm intelligence, meaning how the birds are flying together. They are functioning as one mind. I think that human beings are also not different. Indigenous communities where ego is not built up, where individuality is not too much built up, where egoism and is not so distorted, people function
as one mind.
As one mind.
Working as one mind means working with each other.
No, together. See, 6, 7 people doing one work, but in some way they all know what is happening. Another example,
Which is what, if you see, Modern companies want this.
They won't get it. But they're all, I know that. I know, see, that is the whole problem I'm finding. First you destroy and then you want to.
Then you want. And you won't get it because you're thinking with the mind and you have lost the body senses.
Absolutely. See, this is, one of my friend was telling, I was sharing this to this friend. He gave me a fantastic terminology for this. He was telling that in indigenous communities, there is something called coordinated cooperation. In modernity, what you have is subordinated cooperation. You see, in subordinated cooperation, the one on top will tell you what to do. In coordinated cooperation, there is no one on top. Everybody knows what to do. You see, I have seen this in the fishermen, how they take the boat. Two are sitting. The one in front is doing one action. The one behind is doing something other action. They're not looking at each other. The body, so the boat itself is part of their body. Understand? So there is a fantastic coordination between these two with no language, no talking. And I remember going once with a European person guiding us in a ship, in a boat. He was in front and he was telling everybody what to do and what not to do. And of course, we also wouldn't have, functioned any other way because we are also completely now modern in that sense,
So I want to go back to the question. I want to ask this question.
Yeah.
So you're saying people should not have one child?
Absolutely. Also, I'll tell you what. There was some discussion in another group that they are so alone. This husband-wife. Husband has no brother-sister. Wife has no brother-sister. And they want to shift their house. They're telling there's no help at all. Chacha, chachi. Now, just their own older generation, they had so many people to help each other. So community is what is completely being destroyed by this whole idea of single child. Single child is also problematic because you are actually creating absolutely selfish and self-centered children. Because everybody's attention is onto one child. 4 adults and 1 child, or sometimes 6 adults and 1 child. Because husband, wife, their parents, and so all of them, 1 child. Everybody's attention, absolutely bad.
So attention is
Children actually don't need attention at all.
Children don't need attention.
No, what they need is your respect. Respect meaning leave them alone. They need cognitive freedom. They need freedom to be. They need, so in the house, they must feel that everything is theirs. But what are
everything belongs to everybody, you mean?
Absolutely, that's what I meant.
Right? Not this is my mother, this is my dad, this is mine, this is my room, this is your room.
Yeah.
Everything belongs to everybody.
And that is the rule of indigenous communities. You see, a child, for example, when a child is doing something, at that point, they take total response. They are involved in it. Total involvement. The moment they leave it, they have no connection with this. No, so when we ran the school, this fantastic incident happened. First day itself. One child started drawing in a A4 size paper. Other child comes in, she draws in the same paper. One more and one more. 4 children was drawing in one paper. One drawing. No permission asked, no permission denied. I mean, that idea didn't exist in them at all. I felt, wow, God, this is such a fantastic
But now everybody has a separate workbook. This is my drawing, this is your drawing.
And then, after some time, the one who started it left. And the others continued. And she had absolutely no feeling that my drawing they are doing. Not my drawing. I was drawing. I'm drawing, You understand, na? Actually, this is what children are. We are purposely destroying them.
And you think having single children destroys
absolutely
this?
Yeah. Even having 4 children, and you can still destroy them. Of course.
But it is more difficult to destroy.
Yeah. No, not only that. At least children have each other, no? But you see, this destruction is because you don't know what the inherent nature of life, inherent nature of a child. They are selfless. They are compassionate. They don't have any. So that's why today you need to teach somebody compassion. You have value education. You see? Empathy. All these strange words are cropping up as if suddenly modern Western people have discovered all this doesn't exist. You go to any rural travel area, you will find exactly opposite of this. That even if they must have kept milk for somebody, when a stranger comes, they will give it to that person now. You don't have a place to stay in an urban area. Do you think somebody will give you?
No, I remember this incident a month ago.
Yeah.
We had gone towards Daman and we were going to a beach, and there was an auntie selling vada pav
Yeah.
on the side. My wife said she wanted to eat vada pav, so I stopped. I went. The vada pav was 6 rupees, and I had 10 rupees. She didn't have change, and I said, "No problem, auntie. It's okay." And that lady basically, gave me 5 rupees back. She was very
Yeah.
clear,
Absolutely.
right, in her mind that she can't take
Yeah.
extra money.
Yeah.
Right, and to me it was that here she is selling vada pavs for a living,
Yeah. Yeah.
and for her, like that, she doesn't want those 4 more rupees.
Absolutely.
She has a vada pav, sells for 6 rupees. That's about it.
Yeah.
There is no greed or need for more.
Absolutely.
And you're saying this is how indigenous
community. This is what life is all about. The West promotes another idea that we were all living in fear, in those days, caves and all that. Absurd idea. Fear is only a very temporary kind of, response to a situation. Nobody lives in fear. There is an idea that they are promoting that we are violent by nature, and we were afraid all the time, and now they are safe because the West has saved us. These are all absurd scientific, so-called scientific ideas that are being promoted. By nature, we are good. I'll tell you another interesting thing that one friend had shared. That in the Gujarat, some area, the tribal market, tribal belt. So there are both tribals and non-tribals. So this man goes there to sell bangles and different things, And so this other friend went with this seller. And so people were coming and taking, something, sometimes on loan also. They wouldn't. So when this was happening, he noticed that when certain people come, he will write down that this person owes 50 rupees, this person owes 100 rupees, whatever. There is a book that is kept for. And for this tribal people, there's no book. So he was asking, why don't you write that? Because he told that tribal people will never cheat.
Tribal people never cheat.
Never cheat. They will come back and give you the money.
It is only this educated people
who will tend to cheat.
The education we want our child.
Absolutely.
But then like a parent would say, I want my child to be educated and I want to give them values.
No, what do you mean by education? Let's now clarify this. Do you want to continue to become a servant all your life? For the next 100 generations, we want our children to be a servers, to be a slave all the time? Is that what we want?
So you're saying doing a job is slavery?
Absolutely. And that too, most people are doing meaningless work, 8 hours. Meaningless work. They are boring. That is why they are bored. They are fed up because they are looking forward to that after 4. This is what is happening. So it's a distraction to the soul, yeah. You should never live like that.
You're saying that is not something that a parent should wish for their child?
Absolutely no. You should wish for a simpler, better person, a loving child. Today, more and more parents, older parents, are sent to old age homes. Right? Did that happen at all some years ago?
No.
Not only older parents. Agar there is a physically handicapped person, they are being sent out. But you can't look after them. Understand? This is never the case. And the other very important thing, the difference between modernity and tradition is that physical disability, these two people looked at it very, very differently. Modernity has created a category called physical disability, and on a day-to-day basis, they are made to feel they are physically disabled. But of course, their names are very good. You won't call him Langda, one-legged, special ability and all that. Those are fantastic. But the treatment, every day that person will have to feel that they are disabled. In indigenous communities, you might call him one-legged fellow or one-eyed fellow, but the treatment will be like a normal person. Understand? So you will see, when I went to the village, went to one of the villages, after almost 10-15 years, I realized that there were some of these people that I interacted with were orphans. But for 10 years, I didn't know, because they are not treated as orphans. Their parents were not there, but they were looked after by somebody or the other, some uncle or someone.
It was automatic.
Understand? So there was no orphanage for these children.
And you think
And-
all of this is changing because of education?
Absolutely. No, because of the modernity's influence. See, one is Western influence. Western culture, cultural influence is something that is absolutely dangerous for other societies. There's no doubt about it. And modernity is nothing but Western culture, literacy, all that come together. Understand?
So I want to come to a few questions, right?
Yeah.
Because this we can talk for hours maybe, right? So one I read, and you also mentioned that at some point you stopped reading.
Yeah.
Right. So why did you stop reading, and what happened after that?
No, this is very, very important. You see, I went to the rural tribal areas to understand culture. What is society? What is beauty? Because all these are being conditioned. When you study in design school or in architectural school, your aesthetic sense is Western. Knowledge, of course, is Western. But your aesthetic sense is also Western. So I wanted to understand what is this beauty? How does it arise? Because in rural tribal areas, you go to any rural tribal area, all that is diverse and distinct. What you see in Kutch, in Gujarat,
Belongs
or
to
in
Kutch.
Orissa, the cultural sensibilities are different. The knowledge is different. Aesthetic sense is different. But that is not the case with educated. That is why I began to live with these people. And then you also read the sociology, anthropology, philosophy, what the West has written. No? Then I realized this is absolute nonsense. Because again, I'm looking at society through a lens of someone else. So one reason for stop reading was that. Second reason is also I realized that life is happening right in front of me. And why am I reading the sociology and all these books and wasting time instead of observing these people? And the third portion, of course, was that the idea that literates are learning the world and literates are learning the world. That itself gave me another thing. And after I stopped reading, and after some years, I found that slowly, my cognitive system began to rewire. You see, when you, for a literate, there is a cognitive system because of literacy that is getting formed. Because you're reading. What you're reading, ready-made text. You're engaging with organized information and concluded information. Right? So your brain then will become habituated, one for conclusion, second for organization. So the reasoning mind basically comes from dealing with organized information. You understand? So reasoning is nothing but reasoning is an activity you do to store information in an organized manner.
Sure.
But people think that's a great activity as if they have created knowledge. It's a false idea. And the more rational you are, the less creative you are. Because
rationality is a box.
Absolutely. And it helps you to create boxes. Reasoning is what? You're concluding. No? First you're organizing and then you're concluding. Because of this happened. That is the whole reasoning framework. No? So it's a concluding tool. It's not an opening up.
So what happened after you stopped reading? I'm saying your brain.
So when after I stopped reading, I stopped reasoning and I stopped concluding. Because when you look at something like this, you don't have to. There's nothing to conclude. You don't have to agree or disagree. Whole modern education, if you look at it, in the initial phase, you're not supposed to argue. You have to agree. If you don't agree, you won't get marks. At a later stage, in the so-called higher education, you are asked your opinion about it. In fact, I think asking opinion is absurd. Because in matter of knowledge, there is no opinion. In a sensorial cognitive process, is there an opinion? If I say this is chashma, this is glasses, do you have an opinion about it? In a cognition that I am talking about, there is no opinion at all. What you see is what you see. Of course, your perception maybe you see as a rope instead of a snake. But if you look at very well, clarity happens. No? That's a matter of perception, not a matter of argument. Understand? Here, even after argument, is there anything that you're able to observe and correct it? Because the whole modern education, there is nothing to observe and learn. No? We are reading and learning. So it actually...
But a lot of these new boards are now doing. They are rather they're saying.
Yeah. But see, first you destroy your actual natural cognitive process of creating knowledge. Then artificially you're creating so-called experiential spaces. You see, actual knowledge creation is part of life. And there is a fantastic way in which this comes together. You're taken out of context. It's like loading one software. So you study physics means that physics software is loaded onto you. Then you work in that physics. Understand? Huh? But there is an organic way in which all this can happen. Understand?
And
So I am not against higher education, nor against any knowledge. I'm for it if it is real. You see, for example, all of us have learned grammar. Do any one of us actually enjoyed grammar first of all when it was taught? No. It was the most boring subject. And how many of us actually have any interest in anything that we have learned? Correct? Why is this happening? I can assure you this. Anyone who has organically learned the manner in which I am telling, they will never get bored of what they are learning. I know certain people who have learned like that. That's why. Who never went to school, but they are extremely good in what they are doing. Because the whole knowledge has been constructed in a very organic way. Understand? Huh?
And it has been done by themselves,
Absolutely.
for themselves.
Absolutely. It's
Without
an internal activity. Like digestion, comprehension is an internal activity. Digestion and, understanding or comprehension, they're internal activities. Your ego doesn't have a role.
So you recently wrote a book called Seeing with Hands.
Yes.
So what does drawing mean for children?
This
Like,
is
so let me actually
Yeah.
say it again. Many parents will send their kids to a drawing class.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or we want our children to draw well.
Yeah.
Or colorful things, or
Yeah,
different types of things.
yeah.
Become an artist.
Yeah.
But what does drawing mean for children?
Yeah. You see, drawing is like teaching giving toys. Children they don't need toys, nor they don't need drawing. The difference is this, that again, we found it only because I stayed in that school for 3 years, and we documented all the drawings they did in those 3 years. And these were children from 3 years to 7, 8, 9 years old, because 3 years they had reached 9 or 10 years, from 3 to 10 years.
10 years.
So we have a fantastic collection of drawings that children did spontaneously with no teaching, no books. And they were also making things completely on their own. So there was no interference. So we were able to get a fantastic, documentation of what they make and what they draw. We found a fantastic connection between what they actually experience, what they recreate as play, and what they draw. So there is a correlation between experience, play. When I say play, toy is included, yani making is included, and drawing. Understand? That is when we realize that drawing, like play, is a cognitive activity to understand what they experience. Experience is what we are trying to understand. The world that we are experiencing is what we are recreating.
So drawing is a way for the child to make sense of the world.
Absolutely. In the two-dimensional format. Now I'll tell you what is two-dimension. Just imagine for a minute that you're going to Delhi. You went to Delhi. Okay. Now imagine coming to Bangalore. As an educated person, the way this happens is that when you think of going to Delhi, you're going up. Correct? Coming down to Bangalore. Okay? This is happening in a two-dimensional realm. This is not the case when you talk to an indigenous person. An illiterate person, this would be an absurd idea. You went up and came down. Understand? So two-dimensionality is a modern experience. It is brought in by text, the book.
The printing press.
Printing press. That is what brought in two-dimensionality as an experience. And we exist in the two-dimensional realm often. Other simple thing you can think is that, I normally do this to ask people to imagine the earth. So, imagine the earth, and what is the size that you're seeing? A football size? Correct, no? All this is a misconception of the mind, no? Understand? So these are all information is not got from the real world. It is got from books and
Yeah.
context called school. So then the mind creates a different world altogether in that. So this two-dimensional experience is something new for a human
To absorb.
So I think that what children drew spontaneously, the whole act was trying to understand the real world in terms of two-dimensional space. Understand? Now, what is interesting is that, like, there are stages in all the biological activities. Now, for example, how the child is learning to walk or learning to talk.
Yes.
There are different stages, from blabbering to crawling to, there is a stage, exactly like that. There is a stage in play and toy making and drawing. So in play, if you give a doll to a child, you're actually disturbing the stage-wise development of the child. Because actually the child will play, in a natural context, the child will play doll. Doll meaning looking after a child.
Yes.
That's what it means.
Yes.
Only till about 4, 5, 6 years. Because 3, 4 years actually. Whatever their experience is what they're recreating.
Their own experience of having been a child.
Absolutely.
They are not becoming a mother.
No, so in that process, they are also learning to be a mother actually. Because they are reenacting being a mother. Because they don't become the
What they
doll.
have gotten is what they are
Absolutely,
showing.
they recreate that. So that is why when children go to school, they come back and play teacher games.
Because see a teacher and they want to become a
teacher. Understand? Huh? So what they experience is what they become. So actually from schools, you actually learn to be a teacher. Because that is what you actually learn.
So the play is a recount of the actual experiences they have in this life.
Yeah.
And drawing is a way to concretize those experiences
in terms of two-dimensional space.
In terms of two dimensions. Right? But
And
both of these are based on actual experience of the world.
And both are cognitive processes. Cognition is to understand the world. And
can we say a child's need is to understand the world?
That is natural for survival, depends on understanding the world.
Because the survival depends on understanding what is happening around us.
Yeah.
Hence, that is the need of a child who's born and brought into the world.
Absolutely. Every living being is doing that. A dog is doing that. When it is in the city, it will find out where to eat food. No?
Yeah.
Absolutely. When it is jungle, there is a different system. So everywhere, all living beings are cognitive beings. They are trying to understand the world in different complexities.
And what do you think about all these unicorns and...
What is all that?
Unicorn, right? I'm saying today children read books on unicorns and mermaids.
This is very, very bad for children.
Why is it bad?
That is bad because you are taking them away from real world. See, they don't know what an ant is. Where does or any vegetable they won't be able to identify. They won't be identify any plant. But they will know everything about all these fantasies which are absolute nonsense. Children should know where they're living first year. That is what they should know. I mean, I remember when I was in 8th, 9th and all that, I could not identify any of the vegetables. So this is the case with any educated person.
But is it not okay not to identify any vegetable?
You have to. But that is more important than this mermaid and unicorn. This is what is more important because that is what giving you life. But that is what you're eating.
But let's say I didn't know about all these vegetables.
Yeah.
Now I am 40. Now I'm starting to learn.
Yeah, but your learning now is pointless, I think. Absolutely. It is in childhood you should learn, yeah. You have to make an effort to learn.
I have to make an effort.
It's an effort. Actually, learning is an effortless process. We are making an effort because we have destroyed the natural process.
So I'm saying essentially what people say is that we are born with a plastic brain plasticity, right? Our brain, the fluid. We automatically absorb and learn.
Yeah.
At a certain age, 6, 7, 8, the brain hardens.
Yeah, slowly. See, the thing is that for an illiterate person, it is far more flexible than a literate person. An educated person's brain is far more fixed than a non-literate person because, you see, how it hardens is because when you are giving forceful input, brain restructures in a different way.
Forceful concluded input.
You have to agree. So it mechanizes certain processes inside. Whereas An indigenous person, an organic learning, there is far more flexibility. You see, I'll give you a fantastic example. One Canadian person had come to my workshop some years ago when I was doing in Kerala. One workshop. I used to do this word to the world workshops. And I was talking about language, how easily indigenous people learn language. An illiterate person learned new language than a modern person. She was telling the same thing. She had been coming to India for quite some years. Every time she comes, she finds a tutor, and the tutor will teach her different things, and every year she has to repeat it. And the hotel in which she was staying, she's told me that a lady from Orissa, a non-literate lady from Orissa had come. In 6 months, she had learned how to speak Malayalam. Automatically. No effort. So learning is a natural process for us. If you don't destroy it at any age, you can learn. But of course, the way you can learn in childhood is not what you can learn later. That of course will be there because, that. And then the other very important thing is the question of memory. In the natural process of memory, in learning, memory is automatic. You don't have to memorize. Understand? Recall is also automatic. So neither you have to memorize purposely, nor you have to forcefully recall because the whole thing happens in a very contextual manner. Understand? In the context of your life, what is happening around you, so there's a fantastic connection with everything. So memory is organic and natural to you. Whereas in a modern context, all these are forced. You have to actually, use your brain, recall,
Put on paper, marks.
Yeah. All that.
So you mentioned that children learn to walk automatically, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, everybody learn to speak automatically.
Yeah, but there is one thing I want to tell you. This is true only if the child is experiencing in the context. For example, I have a video of this. In fact, it's in the YouTube also.
Okay.
I mean, anywhere you'll find it. That among feral children who are looked after by animals take on the behavior of the animals that is bringing them.
Absolutely. So children learn from the world.
Absolutely. Which means your ability to walk, not talk, should not be taken for granted. It has to be awakened from you. So there is this essential understanding we need to make about, even though we are born with inherent qualities and abilities, that need to be awakened. You can also condition them. So both awakening and conditioning are part of is a possibility in us. So the child walking like a dog was the conditioning that was done. But their inherent ability was to walk. So that walking can only happen if the child experiences
seeing other people
walking. Even eyes, senses, all the senses will only function.
So in some ways what you're saying is our children are born with a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely.
Right? Some of those possibilities happen for every child, like walking. Right? Which is only humans do. Like talking. In language, so many words, etc. Which again, possibly only humans do, so intricate.
No, let's not have a competition here. This is again a Western notion, we are competing with nature. No.
Okay.
Let's
go back again. And let's say the child is born with so many possibilities. Right? But by education, by forced learning, a lot of those possibilities are destroyed.
Absolutely. So the parents do that. You see, today, the problem is that today, there are no longer parents. There are only teachers in the guise of parents. Because all these are teaching minds. They're all concerned about teaching the child.
Teaching a child something.
That's all. They're not parents.
My child shouldn't be left behind.
Yes. So what children need is your respect, your love, your trust. Love also doesn't mean you keep on hugging and keep on telling, I love you and all that. Just leave them alone. That's what they require.
So you're saying a parent's job is to leave the child alone.
Absolutely. That's why we call this our program called Do Nothing Parenting. It actually means that. See, do nothing parenting, do nothing is a very easy thing to understand. The way we learned language is do nothing. Correct? No teaching, no learning, do nothing. No. So it's our nature to learn. So we learn. So in tradition, there was no parenting at all. Children just grew up in a fantastic environment of trust, love, cooperation, collaboration, no fear,
But I'm saying in this world
Yeah.
we live in, there is junk food available.
Modern world. Let's
Modern
again
world,
call it, huh?
right? There is junk food, there is TV. So I agree with this do nothing parenting.
Yeah, yeah,
But I also think because we live in a certain kind of world,
yeah, yeah,
not allowing screens
Yeah,
or
yeah.
not allowing junk food
yeah.
are basic rules that we need to follow.
Yeah, I'll tell you one very interesting incident. Some years ago, I came to know about a person called Ali Banik Fan in Tirunelveli. He was doing something called a do nothing farm
Okay.
many years ago. So, me and my brother, because he was also into organic farming, so we went to see him. So, what we saw was that this farm in Tirunelveli, it had a fence and trees were growing inside, different things. And under a tree, this man was lying down and just reading, taking rest. Very happy. We went and asked him about his experience. He told me that the one thing that you need to do today is to create a fence. So this fence is for creating an non-interfering in situation where life can thrive. So exactly like this, today we need to create a non-interfering environment for children, which they shouldn't even know. So that should be an invisible border fence that we need to create for children to be free. See, when I adopted a child, I took 3 decisions. Never say no to her. Always follow her, meaning don't feed her, don't make her sleep and all that. When she feels, she will do it. So always follow her. Third, never lie to her. All right. So, and she comes from a nearby house. So before she comes, she's brought, her mother goes to work, so brings the child to my house. So before she goes, before the child comes in, I would keep the camera and different things that she might ask for. I would hide it somewhere so that I don't have to say no to her. So I create an environment right from the beginning, an environment of no need to say no. So similarly, we need to, when we are ready for a child, we should recreate an environment as much as possible where we don't have to say no. That is what I would say. And I say that if you are more interested in your career and all that, don't have children. If you are going to have children, take 100% responsibility. Don't say, I have this and I have that. Learn to live simple lives and focus on the child. Focus on the child means don't cater to all their needs. Create an environment of freedom, be responsible, create an environment where the child can see you doing things, not instructing, of course. See, the child needs to see processes of life. The immediate process that they can see is the cooking, cutting vegetables, cooking, and a little bit of farming if possible, wherever possible. And of course, the house, remove most of the furniture from the house. You don't need all that. You see, because many processes, natural processes, are not happening because of all this furniture that is there in the house. Crawling has now reduced because they are walking much faster. They must go through the processes that life has given, from tilting to crawling to all that. I think is very important because that is how life has designed for you to happen. So yeah.
So what you're saying is busy parents shouldn't have kids.
Absolutely.
And if you want
At
to have...
least one parent should be with the child. Meaning not always there. What I mean is that, she should be there without physically always attending the child. You see, you will miss out some fantastic thing about children. Because the most beautiful moments of childhood is something that you shouldn't miss at all. Because at that time, they're absolutely pure, innocent, beautiful, playful, it's unimaginable. One should never miss that. After, there is nothing actually. Once they reach 7, 8, 9, of course, life is going to be fantastic. That's a different matter. But this stage is the most important stage.
I heard someone or I read somewhere that if you can be with the child for first 6, 7 years of life, after that, you don't need to be the child anytime. The child and your bond is secure for life.
Absolutely.
But if you're not there for the first 6, 7 years, then that bond becomes very, very hard.
There is one very interesting thing that correlation you can do. as a child, whoever is living with the child, they create, I don't know the exact term and all that. There is this interesting thing about reverse imprinting. There is one ethologist, Finnish, I'm not able to remember his name. He's written some fantastic books. Sorry, I'm not able to recollect his name right now. He talks about, I think swan or some birds he was with, and he was studying these birds. And he brings out this idea of inverse imprinting. So I think this may be my own extrapolation. What I feel is that small children, whoever they engage with at that in their childhood, they create an inverse imprint. What I mean by this is that, you see,
the parent becomes a child.
No. They are trying to. This may be I'm telling something else very different. You see, all of us will have, our tendency will have, ideally will have we will have sexual need all the time. That will be part of our life because that is what life needs us to do. But we shouldn't have sexual needs with parents and your siblings, no? Understand? Absolutely, no? So that will happen, that reverse imprinting will happen in that age. When the child is with, with other siblings and parents and all that for quite some time, 7, 8, 9 years, they will never have a sexual, urge towards the people that they engage with in the childhood. Understand? But because obviously it's after 12, 13 that your actual, that sexuality begins to awake and, that will happen. But I think it's also important that in somewhere within us, there has to be something that prevents us at a deep level from having sexual urge for your own brother, your own sister, brother and all that, no? Or mother, father. There has to be, no?
Absolutely.
So I think in biologically something like that could happen in a human child. For this reason also, it's very important that children need, their closer relatives for a long time, not once in a while coming. Be with them. This maybe this is absolute foolish, but I think something like this probably is working.
Okay. So, what do you think about parents having nannies?
Nannies meaning, someone else coming and...
Yeah, I'm saying this is common, right? In cities, that I have to work, both parents have to work, and my call is going on something, and there's a nanny.
Yeah. You see, I feel today, if you can treat the nanny with absolute respect and treat her as your own mother or somebody, and give her all her true freedom, a village nanny will be better than you parenting, modern parents. Because they know how to parent, precisely. But what you do is that you don't treat her very well, you ill-treat her, naturally her behavior to the child will not be that good. Of course, they are far more human. But their hands are tied. So they may not function naturally because you may not like it.
Because we'll say, do this way and don't do this way.
Absolutely. So I think you should trust your nanny, respect her. She will be a better parent than educated parents. I'm reversing this.
This is very interesting. That an illiterate nanny, and we mean illiterate now, a new sense of respect for the word, right?
Absolutely. There is no doubt.
Who has a sense of life.
Absolutely.
With senses rather than living with the mind based on reading what they have read.
Absolutely. You see, within 150 years, it's going to be complete destruction here because there will not be anybody left who actually are beings of this earth. We are alienated, educated are alienated. And later using senses is not going to work. Because I still feel that I'm an alienated person after all this non-reading. Because I still am not connected the way an indigenous illiterate person is connected. Because he doesn't even think about this. He's there. You don't even have to talk about this. No?
So, should parents be reading books on parenting, watching videos on parenting?
No. You see, I'll tell you what is the problem with this. So what I encourage is that drop all the theories, observe children. Today what is happening is that you already have a theory in mind and you're seeing the child, you're putting the theory there. Understand? There is a problem when you have prior knowledge. So everything the child does, you begin to assume that, this is because this is what you read. Some expert has told you, Understand? So you are really not seeing what the child is doing. You're only correlating what you read with what you're seeing. That's not the way to engage with the child. You trust the child, spontaneously engage with the child without any reading, without any theory. Even people who come for my workshop, I keep telling them, don't believe in anything I say.
Just go and observe the child.
And then if you think there is some connection in what I'm telling, you agree with me. You don't have to agree with anything actually. What the child is doing is right. Be with the child. That's all what you should be doing. Respect the child. Create a space and respect life. Trust life. The child, for example, giving knife to a child. Child will come and use knife and, do things. Of course, when they are in, I have my daughter by 2.5, 3 years, she was using knife very well. And of course, in our house, there was neither denier nor permission, nothing like that. She would just take and use it. And of course, she has cut her finger a little bit. She will cry a little bit. She will go, we'll find her, tell her something. She will apply it and cry a little bit more and then it's gone. Understand? So, reading and all this is absolutely, because you're already creating a framework in the mind and then you're seeing it. This is what the whole problem with physical seeing and mental seeing is this. When you're actually observing, it is your physiological response to the world. Senses are functioning as a tool of the body, a physiological response. When you're reading and looking, then it is a mental response.
One of the biggest examples of this, I at least felt, Jinan, which convinced me, was that a lot of Western literature will say, cry out method for putting a baby to sleep. Put the baby in the room, let them cry, there's no problem. Even when a parent's heart is going out, right? And they know the right thing is to be with the baby. What I have read trumps my own feeling.
Absolutely. There's a whole problem, no?
Right? So you're saying respect your own feeling.
Absolutely.
Look at your child.
Instinct as a mother, as a parent.
Like, who would know better than a mother?
Absolutely.
Only if the mother trusted her instinct and could take a step back and just observe the child. That is enough. So, Jinan, it has been very interesting chatting with you. Thank you for coming here. Your views are definitely different.
Commonsensical, no?
I'm telling you, I had a question I'd written to ask you, but you answered it, so I haven't asked. I'm going to, that because what you're saying to a parent is, don't send your child to Harvard. Correct? Don't pursue that. Don't pursue that path of reading and education. It's okay for a child to be a farmer, right? And I'm saying, I think parents today, or anybody who's a parent who's seeing this video will see, hey, Jinan, I see he has disheveled hair and he's sitting here in a simple kurta. Does he want my child to become like him? Right? And they will have a cognitive dissonance that I imagine my child in a car, AC on, being able to afford everything in life. And I don't know, how can a parent get over that cognitive dissonance of their expectation for their own career that has been built in their head for so many years, and that expectation that they will pass on to their child. Like, I don't know how a parent can overcome that. How can, as a human race, we overcome that?
Okay. Now, before I come into that, I want to talk about that particular word you used, cognitive dissonance. Because this is used in the West in the manner that you just spoke about. I use it in a very different way. Cognitive dissonance is body learning one thing and mind learning another thing.
That is cognitive dissonance. Not two different thoughts.
No, that is not cognitive. See, the West doesn't understand how the body learns. So naturally they have to make up these ideas. There are two different thoughts,
what has happened
conflicting thoughts.
I get it. If cognitive dissonance is the difference between the body and the mind. Different.
Two learnings. I'll give you one good example also. You see, one day I saw my mother listening to the television news. And the television news was being, how news is told, no? Too much drama, and of course, then there is this drumming also happening. So what I saw was that she was intently attending to the words that are, so the mind was full in attention to the words, whereas the body was moving to the music. That is cognitive dissonance. Your body is learning irrespective of what you want or not. best example is a school. That is the best example for cognitive dissonance. What the body learns is to become the teacher. What the mind learns is a subject. Do you understand? You see that? Because the body's limitation is that it can only learn what it experiences. What it experiences is the teacher teaching. That is why they come back and play teacher games.
Teacher.
Whereas
the mind has learned the
has
subject.
learned
This
the
is cognitive
subject.
dissonance.
This is cognitive.
This is what you are saying. Education trains us to do, which we need to avoid. So that body and the mind are doing the same thing
together. Absolutely. And all the mental diseases, everything stems from this particular thing of fragmenting the body and mind, creating a false ego, creating false confidence. You see, modern people are absolutely confident. That's because they are certain about everything that they've learned.
They've concluded.
They've concluded.
You know what?
A true learner is humble.
I have felt this when I've gone and lived in a village or a place which is rural or nature. Forget rural or village. It's nature.
Yeah.
When I've lived in nature for extended period of time,
Yeah.
for more than I think 20-25 days. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
For the mind to switch.
Yeah.
And for you to say that you suddenly know this is where I should be always.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you come back to the city and your mind starts to take over again.
So what was the question? I forgot. I shifted into cognitive dissonance.
No, that's okay. There's no problem in shifting to cognitive dissonance. But is there anything that you would want to say to parents?
No, have more children.
Have more children.
And of course, try and one of you drop education, work and be with the child. And if you don't want to have children, at least create small community of people where there are children. I was in Bangalore in a small meeting like this. And so I found one person had his brother-in-law's children with them. That's good enough. So there were 4 children in one place. And they were living together, not visiting.
That is beautiful, right?
That's what.
So what you're saying is, look, you don't need to even create your own children.
Yeah.
But children need children.
Need children. That's a simple
So there should be children around children. That is important.
Absolutely.
Make that happen as parents. Step back and observe the child.
Yeah.
And
drop all theories.
Drop all
Be with the
theories
child.
and some magic will happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trust life.
Trust life. That's
Done.
it.
Thank you so much, Jinan, for being here. Wonderful chatting with you. And, I loved reading your book, Seeing with Hands.
Yeah.
I think that interpretation of drawing I had never heard before. And somehow I was always sure I don't want to send my child to a drawing class. It doesn't matter line tedi hai ke seedhi hai. It doesn't matter. But reading your book told me, based on your observations of children, why drawing is not an art and why it is okay for children to do whatever they want with the piece of paper or whatever they have. So thank you so much for coming here. Beautiful having you. Thank you so much. Actually, we should not do this. We should do this.
Doesn't matter.
But thank you.